It's your boy, Sergeant Hooked on Heroes, hitting you with another brand spanking review of Kamen Rider Geats, this time with episode 19. This has been really interesting, seeing how the DGP has been shaken up and changed a little bit from what we previously saw when Jirori, or Jaloli, or whatever you want to call him, was the Game Master, as opposed to the guy we have now. And I like that every episode is starting up with like the DGP logo, and then it transitions into like a confessional afterwards, or like the person talking to the camera about what's going on and everything. Super fascinating to me. I really like this, honestly. It's really interesting that they're kind of playing with different concepts here and like stylistic things for the filmmaking for the episodes and for how we're doing the story. But yeah, so going off last week, the Jamato are pretty much winning this round that they're currently in of the ball game again. And they're able to, at the last minute, Geats is able to tie it up, right? And so he does that, and in between rounds, people are still kind of bagging on K1 and think he might be the disaster. And he's not really even sure who it could be, and he doesn't even really want to vote on anybody. And so, while this is going on, we do have Geats going out and about doing his thing, and he actually finds Michinaga. Meets up with Michinaga, goes, "Oh, you're alive?" And he kind of explains, "Oh, yeah." And he's like, "Well, but I thought you were defeated by the Jamato. How'd you figure that out? Or how'd you, push past that? How'd that work out?" I'm an exception. Doesn't give him much past that. And I didn't expect Michinaga to, because he doesn't ever truly trust Geats. But I think it was interesting their back and forth there, and him talking about how things have changed with the DGP and kind of updating him, bringing him up to speed where they're at, and that do you still want to go for your wish of getting the power to defeat Kamen Riders? And he mentions about the Jamato again. Essentially, Geats is like, "Oh, so you're Team Jamato now?" And I like that. I like that he's still able to the thing that I like about Ace is that he's really perceptive and able to see through the layers with people and figure them out. And so his assumption is that Michinaga is siding with the Jamato. He says, "No, they don't have any control over me. I'm going to use their power to defeat Kamen Riders, but they don't have any control over me." We'll see how that goes. So they have their little back and forth, and eventually he leaves, and he says, "Well, why don't you come with me? We'll use some rice gum or rice glue or something like that, and we'll patch up your ID core. You'll be good as new." He's like, "No, I don't need your help." Blah, blah, and he leaves. So again, it was cool to see that and see him somehow he got back into that, into the normal world, as it were. But it'd be interesting to see where they go with that. I'm hoping they don't go a dark route where he does become fully a Jamato and then isn't human anymore. I'm hoping he doesn't, because it's interesting that the zombie buckle has that effect on him, and that it was able to bring him back because he used it so much. And now that Sai is using it, does that mean the same thing's going to happen to her? Unbeknownst to her, if she's defeated by a Jamato, is she also going to be, brought back like a zombie like him? So anyway, he even shows him he has a Jamato buckle, and Ace doesn't seem too surprised, but a little bit. He's good about hiding that on his face. So again, a little bit back and forth there, and Keiwa's still struggling with everything going on right now. Daichi's still being a dick to him, saying, it's you were working with the Jamato and blah 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 blah, and he tries to explain on the little confessional thing, "I wasn't. They actually turned into a variation of another rider that was defeated, and I didn't want them to get hurt. I thought it was them being brought back to life, so I had to stop him from hurting somebody." And I like that, now we're kind of challenging his nice guy attitude of wanting to be safe and not hurt anybody and take advantage and everything. We're kind of challenging that a little bit, especially when he gets into contact with his sponsor, the little frog statue man, which seems to be actually just this frog statue. I don't really know what's going on, but he mentions to him he's the one that's been sponsoring him, and the one that's been, every time he's gotten the boost buckle, he's the one been buying it and getting it to him, so that he's a little pissed off that that Keiwa keeps giving it away, basically. And he asks him, "Who do you think is the disaster?" He's like, "You don't think it's you, do you?" He's like, "No, of course I don't think it's me." And he's like, "Well, who do you think it is?" And he's not really sure. So a bit back and forth there. There's a few more scenes with Neon and Sai talking about stuff. She's asking him more, because she doesn't really know Keiwa. She's like, "Why don't you think it's him? Or why haven't you voted for him yet?" Because he already has 3 votes towards them. But at any time before the end of the game, they can change their vote, right? So, she says that, "I've always, trusted, Keiwa. He's always been a very good-hearted person, and his core wanting to help protect people. Doesn't seem like he'd have it within him to be the disaster." I still think that I'm pretty sure, to me, from the very start, I thought it was Neon, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So we're talking about things, and I also get a little bit of a feeling that she has feelings for Keiwa. Just a little bit. I feel like, because there was that moment where she talked about her wish, near the beginning, and about like finding true love, blah blah blah, and then it shifted right from her turning like this and looking to right to Kayla. So I feel like maybe she does, maybe she doesn't, and they won't do anything there. But I mean, I would be fine if they did. I think it'd be really cute, honestly, in my opinion. But anyway, so after that, we get back into the match. This is the final round. It's a sudden death match, and the first group to score wins. And I think during the last one, Ninja Buckle went to Sai, and she was using it. And that was really cool to see her use it, being a faster, like, on-your-feet athletic rider. To see her use it was kind of cool. And so they start out, and they're right near the school or whatever. They're about to be. And they're going through, they're throwing the ball around. Everybody's working really hard. Of course, Daichi's like, if we work together, we can do this, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, when did you all of a sudden care about working together? So they're doing their thing, going all around, throwing the ball around. And it seems like Geats' main buckle he's going to use for a while is Powered Builder, which is kind of cool to see that happen. There's actually a really cool scene of them throwing the ball around, Sai passing it back and forth between her and Neon, and then Neon kicks it up, Geats gets it, and he actually bounces it off a bunch of his like girder, like construction beams he's making with the Powered Builder thing. I think it's really cool. It was a really cool way to use the buckle within the confines of the game, that they're not necessarily fighting and destroying Jamato, trying to get the ball. Again, I like how this season is kind of playing with tropes in Kamen Rider, where for the most part in most seasons it's defeat the monster, defeat the enemy rider or whatever. This, they're kind of changing it up, even though usually it's about that. There's at one point where I think Neon and Sai destroy some Jamatos, and then they just bring a bunch back, and she's like, "What? You have substitutes? We don't get any subs. That's not fair." So I think that was really interesting. So they're fighting and stuff, and they get near the school, or not school, the like luncheon cafeteria type place that the kids go to that he works at, right? And he wants to keep it safe. He doesn't have any buckles though. And Geats is like, hey, you know what? I'll stay back here. I'll keep it safe. I'll play defense. You go ahead and take the ball and try and score. He's like, I want to do this. And Kayla says, I want to be able to be the one to make a score and show you guys, prove to you guys, I'm not the disaster. And of course, Daichi comes in like, oh, that's a bunch of crap. He totally is. And he's like, well, I'm pretty sure the person working to get people to trust him and to like save people and keep people safe and save lives is probably not the person that is going to be the one that betrays all of us. And that the one trying to sow seeds of doubt like you, maybe it is. He says, well, you accusing me, maybe you are. And he's like, yeah, well, people will believe what they want to. Instantly shifts over to Neon and Lupo, who are looking at each other like they're unsure about their decisions and everything, or who they think it is. And so get another cool scene. Everybody transforms and fights again. This time she throws Ninja back to Kayla, so he gets to use it again. And of course she puts back on Zombie. Monster with, Madge Sparrow, whatever, Neon using Beats. They're doing their thing, fighting the Jamato and stuff, and Kayla is going for the goal, right? So he's going, and he's, running around using Ninja, and, fighting and everything, and it's really, really cool, really nice, awesome, fun action in this episode. I actually kind of like this episode a lot better than last episode, because we're seeing more of the action, but also everybody's unique fighting styles, and their personality within that fighting style, within what they do, is really cool. So yeah, and at one point, I think it's Geats, knocks out a couple Jamato riders, knocks them down, and they turn into copies, basically, of Shiro, of Kyoryu Blue, if you will, his actor. And they're like, what? And he's like, see, I was telling the truth. And Geats is like, yeah, he was. He's like, and I believe it now. He's like, and clearly these aren't really people. They're, Jamato in the guise of humans. Don't treat them any different. And I like that he said that. I like that he made clear and kind of backed up Kayla a little bit. And finally, we have somebody on Kayla's side, because it gets a little annoying when Kayla's consistently getting beat down on all the time. So Kayla's doing his thing. He's dodging through, and he was throwing the ball around, bouncing it off the Jamato, hitting them. He's actually doing attacks with it, which is kind of cool. Uses the ninja grand victory strike thing, and actually jumps over Rook, shoots it at him, bounces, goes right past him, scrapes past him and scrapes his helmet, his head, and goes right into the goal, and they score the final points they need to win it. So they do that, and at the very end, they are tallying up all the votes, and they talk about how you can change your vote anytime, blah blah blah, but now's the final thing. Let's go. Let's get this voting done. And one person votes for KO, which I'm pretty sure was Daichi, and everyone else votes for Daichi. So Daichi's out. He's retired, and he's like, oh, the complexity of the human mind will never, cease to amaze me, blah, 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 blah. Sure hope you guys were right about who the disaster was, and then he gets retired, and he's gone. And so we also get a bit of a scene, because Michinaga collapses after he had talked to Geats, and Nakama or whatever his name was, the guy the arms dealer guy that like, snapped like Thanos snapped Jory out of existence and out of transformation when he was Glare trying to fight Geats. He comes up with that one random girl and is like, all right, pick him up. We need to get him out of here. So where are you going to take him? And he's like, oh, somewhere special. And so they bring him back to the Jamato area, and she says, really, death? Is he really going to die like this? Because they think he's dead, and he's not. And he's like, well, I think it'd be, it would really mess things up if we had a player who was killed already come back. I think that would confuse, viewers. Viewers are up right now, really high. So I think that would confuse viewers right now. And she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, so I think instead, he's like, but I have plans for him, very specific plans for him. And we see him kind of like chuckle a little bit and walk away. So clearly there's something, malevolent going on there. But we see Michinaga, who is not really dead. Clearly we know this. And he opens his eyes and is like listening. So yeah, they drop him specifically in the Jamato forest near, which looks kind of like the Juto forest sometimes, near like some of the destroyed city stuff we saw in some of the flashback stuff of the other DGB rounds. So again, really interesting to see what they're going to do with all of this. If they're going to make him, they said about, it'd be much more surprising. He says this, if we have him come back as a Jamato, that'll be even bigger. Instead of coming back as a rider, that'll be even, crazier, for like ratings and stuff like that. So, and we did get a one scene, I think, of Samori kind of questioning the current game master and how he's doing things right now. That he says, well, before it was just, oh, I'm Jirori and this is the DGB, blah, blah, blah. And it was boring. We got to have excitement, and tantalizing things and danger and like uncertainty. That's how we get the ratings. And lo and behold, at the end of the episode, they update the viewer ratings, audience ratings of all the riders, and Campbell's gone up to 30% of the vote. We still have, Geats at the highest right now, but he's at the highest. He's at the second highest votes. I think it's him 30%. I think Lupo's 20%, and then I think 15% for Neon. And I want to say it's either in this episode or in the preview for next week. His little frogman Magoo supporter telling him that he needs to throw away the nice guy Kawa. So I hope we don't go a whole dark side of Kawa arc thing, because that got really annoying with Daiji. So I hope that if it does happen, it doesn't go very long, then he doesn't betray who he is. And I would be cool, though, if he did go that way, and then he wins the whole thing and gets his wish, if it gives him, like, a warped version of his wish, because he's, like, playing things a little more darker, and it doesn't exactly happen the way he wants it to. So, yeah, but overall, it was a really good episode. I like the whole idea of this whole, challenge, the mission they're doing with the ball and, having to score points and everything. Looked like they were going to lose, and then Geats was able to tie it up so that they could have the final sudden death round. Interactions between the characters are great. We did get a little bit with Arkham Metal again, just kind of talking about the Jamato and saying that, they'll be the ones to create the new world and blah, 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 a whole new power and blah, blah, blah. And we do see more of the spots where the destroyed ID cores go with also the DGP jackets. So I'm wondering if their bodies are there too or something. I don't know. It's getting a little dark. It's pretty interesting that they're able to go this dark with it being a kid show. But yeah, I'm really liking this. It's really starting to build the lore. It has not lost to me any of the steam it had in the first arc, which leading up to Jirori's defeat, if you will. And I like how we're seeing where the different players are going to stand and what's going to happen. So I'm really interested in seeing what we got going forward. I'm hoping that we get Tom Constantine and his Michael, whatever, I can't remember his last name, but the two bodyguard guys, I hope they come back into it with Neon's dad. Because it's rumored that him, the frog, Gene, and some other person that's introduced, I think, next week. It's this random person that lives in the Jamato forest. I don't know who she is. To offer some kind of power or offer to Michinaga. That they are going to become riders, apparently. There's a rumor of that. So I'm hoping if Neon's dad does come back into it, that not only does he get to Henshin, but that he gets them as his cronies, basically, or that they side with Neon and fight against him or something like that. I don't know. Overall, fantastic episode. If I had to score it, probably a straight 9 out of 10. It was a banger. It was a really good episode. I liked the intrigue and the tantalizing parts of it, of trying to figure out who is the disaster, which they voted out Daichi, but they don't really know if he was the disaster or not. And there's that rule stated at the end that if the disaster gets to be the final two people in it by the end, that they win by default if they're able to make it to the end. So my money is on Neon personally. It could be Lupo and it could be Ace, but I feel like it's going to be Neon just because she's mostly been herself, but something just seems off. She's not exactly Neon as we've seen her before. And I wonder if there's something else going on where her dad was able to convince her to, play it this way and be the disaster somehow. I don't know. But there's something going on there, and I feel like it's her. So, like I said, score-wise, 9 out of 10. But let me know in the comments below. What did you guys think of this week's episode of Geats? Did you love it, hate it, in the middle? As far as content this week, I should have the Don Brothers episode 45 now? 45 review up, hopefully pretty soon once that goes up, and I can watch it. Of course, in Japan is where I fly to and watch it, live. And then as far as the show this week for Henchins and Homies, you can subscribe right there in the description. Check out our podcast channel. We go live Fridays, somewhere around 7:30, 7:45, 8, somewhere around in that realm, depending on, life in general. We have community guests on there, different people in our TokuTuber, content, Toku Twitter sphere, if you will, to show off their skills and what they do, but then also kind of have a really good time with them and hope that they get the buzz that they need to get chosen to have awesome opportunities, whatever that might be. So last week we had the wonderful Jen from Punhorn Heroes on talking about, being a TokuTuber, how dad life kind of changed that a little bit, and then also about our favorite mecha designs, right? So this week I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I still got to talk to him because he did agree that he wanted to be on. Supposed to have Ballin of Ballin Plays on, who, if you don't know, is the #1 Kamen Rider Dragon Knight stan, to proclaim the good faith of Kamen Rider Dragon Knight on the show, and also another fun topic along with that. I haven't fully decided that yet, but yeah, so it should be pretty fun. So look out for that for the show this week as far as the podcast goes. Other than that, I'm going to try to do some other content this week if I'm able to, depending on my schedule and what's going on. My birthday's coming up pretty soon, and next week's content might be a little odd just because I have a surgery and stuff coming up. Nothing major, just a surgery coming up. So yeah, but let me know in the comments, like I said, below what you guys think of the episode. Thank you so much for commenting, subscribing, for sharing the videos, watching all of that. I really, really appreciate it so much. But until next time, stay hooked on heroes. I will talk to you later. Bye bye.